welcome back. Now we are seated in this place here. We want to talk about some of the nutrition myths. We want to debunk some of the nutrition myths because, like it was said during the workout, the major thing, even as you work out, you need to kind of have nutrition that could boost kidogo. So we want to find out what are some of those, some of the good, the bad, like it goes, the good, the bad, and the ugly of nutrition. And I allow my guest to introduce herself. Go ahead.
My name is Bernice Kendi Mogo. I'm a clinical nutritionist by profession. 10 years of working experience.
Wow.
Yeah, yes. In the nutrition sector. Basically clinical nutrition, because nutrition has various sectors where we work, especially you can work in the community or in a clinical setup. So basically I'm based in the hospitals. So I move around hospitals as a consultant.
Okay.
So also working at Medanta Africa in Westlands, Halisi in Kitengela, and also Williamson House specialty. So basically it's good at least that I'm here to ensure that we debunk on a few things in terms of nutrition myths, and it's good that it's coming at this time.
Right.
Because you see, we are now having our New Year resolutions.
Yes. Oh.
And
the strong ones still have you.
The strong ones are usually,
yes.
Yeah, the strong ones are usually on nutrition and exercise. So it's the best time for us to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive right into it. And everybody at some point in time, where we're not ruling out those who want to gain weight, but most of the people want to lose weight. Yeah. And the first thing that they always want to do is to starve themselves. Why is that right or why is that wrong?
Now, starving yourself is not a right way of losing weight, simply because when you starve yourself, you tend to compensate on the next meal. So that means that you will add on to more calories than you expected. So that means your body can only take up what it wants at a certain time. So if in a day you required, maybe like, give an example, if you're supposed to get 4 grams of protein or take 4 grams of protein, and then you tend to take 6 grams of protein, your body picks up 4. The 2 extra, it converts it to high calorie, high fat. So that means that skipping of meals is not good, because whatever you take in the next meal, you compensate, which is not a good way of doing your nutrition goals. Yeah. All
right, I just want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and text us on 22422. The lines are open. And then you can also go and use the hashtag Daybreak if you have any questions about nutrition. Some of the things that you've heard as well, share them so that Bernice here can help you debunk them and set you on the right path. The other thing, like you said, is skipping meals. That like you said, it's people compensate in the next meal. But then, whenever you're skipping meals, right? People talk about breakfast as the most important meal of the day. Some say that instead of skipping meals, then eat small portions along the day. So what is the formula? How do you do it? How do you make sure unakula vizuri?
Okay, now, when it comes to knowing how you're supposed to eat right, we'll talk about the frequency of feeding. It's very, very important, especially if you're on a health journey. In fact, nowadays we don't call it weight loss journey. Okay. It's a health journey that someone is starting. Right. So what happens is you need to learn the frequency of feeding, which we say for every 3 to 4 hours, ensure you've taken a meal. Now, when you take...
when you say a meal,
yes.
Kuna mtu atasikia anasema, so ugali, saa 2 ugali, ugali,
Now, what happens is you take 3 main meals.
Okay.
Breakfast is the most important meal. Remember that you had slept for almost, we say 6 to 9 hours. So whereby sleep is very important when it comes to also weight loss and even living a healthy life. So what happens is when you wake up in the morning, ensure that you take strong breakfast. We say take breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and dinner like a beggar. So you go reducing the amount of meals as the day goes by. Remember, your metabolism is high in the morning, not like during the day, whereby if the day is ending, you have your slow metabolism, because again, you're going to sleep, you're tired, your body is worn out, you need to rest. So what happens is breakfast should be a very important meal for you to take in the morning. So what happens is according to your calories, we calculate your diet as according to your calories.
How do you calculate? Sorry to digress. How do you calculate it before
Okay.
you? Yeah.
So calculation of meals, it's a whole sum, by the
Okay,
way.
okay.
You don't just eat because others are eating, or you eat the same portions,
Yeah.
like maybe your neighbor. If your neighbor is losing weight, you cannot just watch what they are eating and you start eating
Like
the
I say,
same.
nitumie hiyo diet yako nitumie.
Yeah, it doesn't work
Yeah.
simply because our activity factors are very different. So we calculate diet as according to your activity factor, to the age. Again, you have your weight, and as well we have to look at your height, because we say the taller you are, the more the food.
Very good. Mumasikia hiyo tafadhali. The taller you are. So mimi nitakula mingi sana. Mtu kama Inspector Mwala ama Ombese hawatakula mingi sana. But mimi ninaenda kutia ndani. Na msiniulize kutoka leo. Please, if I am looking at you like this, I need more food. Go on.
Yes, so the taller you are, the more the food, and the shorter you are, the less the food. In fact, when you calculate calories, the taller people, they have more calories. But again, we also narrow down to the activity factor. We have to look at how active someone is. Athletes and people who are going to the gym, somebody who is working in the office, just moving up and about, someone who is sedentary, they totally eat differently. So when we are calculating diet, we look at the activity factor, which is explained as the 4 that I've mentioned.
Right.
Then now we look at the age, the height, and the weight. That's how diets are calculated. Yes.
All right, and so then you're talking about now, based on that, and you have your meal, so you go ahead and attack breakfast. So between breakfast and lunch,
Okay,
what
now
are you doing?
what
Yeah.
happens is between breakfast and lunch, you're supposed to have a snack. A snack is taken maybe around 10 or maybe 10:30 or 11, because we say from 6:30 to 8:30 is the best time for you to take breakfast.
Okay.
Then you wait again 2 to 3 hours, you take a snack. Then maybe around 12 or 1, you can take your lunch. Then 4 p.m. you can do another snack. Then in the evening, before 7 p.m., ensure you've taken your dinner. Because we say the frequency of feeding and the timing of meals is very important, especially if you want to have a proper health journey or weight loss journey. Yes.
So when you talk about a snack, what is a snack?
Now, there are people who snack on popcorns. There are people who snack on a cup of tea, maybe sugarless, or maybe 1 teaspoon or 2 teaspoons, depending with your calories as well, as we said earlier. There are people who snack on nuts, almonds, cashew nut, groundnut. There are people who snack on a cup of tea and a fruit. You know, because again, when it comes to fruit, you're supposed to make sure by the end of the day, you've taken 5 to 6 servings of fruit in a day.
So what is 5 to 6 servings equivalent to?
Now, we say like if it's according to your calories again, because there are people who, in fact, instead of taking like watermelon, we talk of wedge of watermelon. There's someone according to their calories, they cannot take a whole wedge of watermelon. You divide it into 2. So again, when you talk of oranges, there are people who can take 1 orange in a sitting and others can take half orange in a sitting. That is according to how we are balancing the calories, simply because fruits have got sugar, fructose. So when you take a lot of fruit, it means that excess will be the sugar. Excess sugar is converted to fat in the body. So what will happen? You will keep on adding weight, and our goal
And
is
yet you're
not going
eating
to be
fruits.
met. Yes.
Because people like me who have fruit sana, like
Yeah.
they're not doing it, they're not losing weight. So in terms of fruits then, what is like, I know it's according to the weight and everything, but what is like, is there a limit, like 1 orange, 2 oranges,
Now
3 bananas?
No, you're supposed to do 5 to 6 in a day, different types. And now
5 to 6 fruits, all fruits?
Yes, in a day.
Okay.
In a day. Depending with the size as well. And again, we say depending with your calorie, the calorie calculation. Yes, yes.
All right, so then you take lunch. What about the meal before? People say don't eat usiku.
Not necessarily. In fact, it's a myth. What we say is make sure you've taken dinner by 7 p.m.
Okay.
That means that you'll already have already taken all the calories the rest of the day, because again, we balance calories. We say men from 1,500 to around 2,700, and depending with your height as well again. Then we have maybe women taking around 1,400 to around 2,200 calories. And that depends on how tall you are. So that means that you're supposed to stick to the same calories the rest of the day, but make sure the last meal is by 7 p.m. You've done your meals. Because past that, you see, there are people who are fond of going to do exercises. You exercise, then you come back, take carbohydrates, very high carbohydrates and protein. You add all the weight.
Where a high carbohydrate would be
Maybe you talk of rice, you talk of too much of arrowroot, sweet potatoes, cassava, you're talking about ugali, you know, taking a lot of it again is not good for your sugars, because excess sugar, remember that carbohydrate is converted to glucose in the body, so excess sugar will always be converted to fat. So what will happen, and you're going to sleep. So it's going to slow your metabolism. When you have high body fat or maybe high visceral fat, the visceral fat is the fat surrounding your heart, lungs, kidney, and liver.
Okay.
If it is high, your metabolism is slow. And nobody loses weight well. And there are people who go to the gym so much, but they don't lose weight because their metabolism is slow. So no one loses weight until they work on their metabolism. Yes.
So
yes.
so what would you say, how would I know if I have a good metabolism?
Now, what happens is there's a machine called a body composition analyzer.
Okay.
When you visit our clinics, that is what we do, or we visit any nutritionist. We take your calories. We know each person according to the activity factor. We ask you some details on how active you are. Then you are able to key in that machine. Then again, we check your bone mass. Your muscle mass is very, very important. We also check now your body fat, the fat under the skin, and then the visceral fat, the fat surrounding your heart, lungs, kidney, and liver. The same machine checks your metabolism. So it can be able to tell you whether your metabolism is low or it is high. Then now we are able to come up with a nutrition goal in terms of either weight loss, or if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, you have cancer, how are we going to come up with a special meal plan?
What about those who cannot access the machine and just want to have a fair idea about how their metabolism is? Is it, the people will say, I go to the loo at least 3 or 4 times. Metabolism yangu iko sawa. Is are such things true?
Sometimes we would say that that's a myth, because one thing is if you cannot be able to do the assessment, what happens is we tell you to send us an information about your activity factor. So how active you are, your age, your height, and your weight, as I said earlier, then we are able to calculate a meal plan. Now, if you are obesity stage 1, 2, or 3, we'll know that your metabolism is 98% slow. So we now come up with goals, because remember, during COVID-19, the issue of visiting the clinics is something is unheard of. So what happens is, if you cannot come because maybe probably you're fearing so many other things because of the current times, so we ensure that you send us those details, then we calculate a meal plan and send it to you. So if you're sick or you have allergies, you just specify. Yeah.
Then, all right. So even as people are still going to be sending us some of their questions and their views on this using the hashtag Daybreak and 22422, let's talk about some of the myths that exist. And one of them is, when we are dieting, they say, mimi siku hizi na diet sana, nimetoa carbs na sukari. So what is your view on that? Like totally eliminating carbs from your diet?
Now, it's a myth. You cannot live without carbohydrates in your meals, simply because you'd rather choose the health option, which is the whole meal. We call it complex carbohydrates. Because we have simple carbohydrates, is the white ugali, white rice, white chapati. We have any other product that's the carbohydrates. But now we also have the complex carbohydrates, which is whole meal. Now we talk of brown rice, we talk of brown ugali or sifted maize flour. Other people go for unga afya, especially if you're doing ugali. We have a whole meal, chapati. So those are the things that you're supposed to shift from, like wholemeal bread instead of taking brown bread, or even instead of taking white bread. So in all that, you're able now to know that carbohydrates are very important, because they also help in balancing the blood glucose levels in the body, because you need glucose in the body, simply because if your sugar levels go down, again, it's going to be a disease. So it's very, very important to ensure you're having carbohydrate in the body, but shift to complex carbohydrates. Yes.
Then what does that say for things like keto? Keto, and then we'll talk about intermittent next.
So now about keto diets, I will not advise anybody to do keto diets, because we said nutrition is not depriving you of any meal. It is basically eating right. So when you learn to eat right, then it means that you're able to balance your timing, your frequency of feeding, avoiding the keto diet as much as you can, because if you take less of other foods, then it means you can be deficient of the other meals.
So keto, none of that. Well, we have some questions that are coming in. We have about some tweets on the hashtag Daybreak. That's how you get to us. Let's take a look at some of them. Joseph Juma says, please ask her, what's the nutritional value of matumbo? All right, then we have another one. Winfrey, what should be the ideal diet for people who want to gain weight in a healthy way? Gaining weight is a conversation that needs to be welcomed equally, and I agree with you, Winfrey. That's right. That's a conversation that needs to be had as well. So let's start with Winfrey's question, because most people always think the goal is to lose weight. I'm glad that you call it a health journey. So the converse, or the opposite, what about those who are trying to gain?
Now, if someone is trying to gain weight, we advise them to gain weight in a healthy way.
Not just kukula
Not
tu
just eating.
junk. Wacha ni jae.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because again, remember, there are 3 forms of fat distribution in the body. Whatever you eat plays a major role into your body. So there are people whereby when they take maybe carbonated drinks or they take fried food, they tend to have high body fat. Others will have cholesterol, which you not see the body fat, but they got cholesterol in the blood. So you see, whatever you're taking in, it doesn't matter the size of the body. What matters is what you're taking in. So at the end of the day, you're supposed to avoid taking junk foods. And again, when you're increasing the weight, you're supposed to think of increasing it in a healthy way. So what happens is we calculate a meal plan and balance as according to your body composition, because it is your body composition that matters at the end of the day. So when you focus on the body composition, we ask you, the goal that you want to add either 6 kgs or 10 kg. Then we come up with either 3 months goal. Every month you're adding 2 kgs or 1.5, because you cannot add more than 3 or 4 kgs in a month.
And it's the same true for losing weight?
Yeah,
you should not
lose more. You should not lose more than 3 kgs in a month. It's not recommendable and it's not healthy. So everything is systematical. So whereby we're supposed to ensure that you follow the meal plan so that whatever we've calculated, you'll add the same. In fact, fats are calculated, sugars are also calculated as according to your body composition. Yes.
So what about, so we have the plate and everybody's always saying tukule vegetables mingi. Is there such a thing as kukula a lot? Is that too much vegetables? Can you do that? Can it be a problem? And then the other thing is about the protein intake as well. What kind of protein as well? Ni nyama choma tutakula kila siku juu tunatafuta protein ama and what part of the chicken? Yeah.
Now, if you want to be healthy, we talk about taking a balanced diet.
Right.
And again, we have to think of variety, because you're not fond of taking same meal every day. If you take rice today with beans, tomorrow rice with beans, another day rice with beans, it's not a good thing.
It's not also good for the environment and the people around you. Kama ni rice and beans, utasumbua sana.
Yeah, because you see, at the end of the day, we need people to have a variety of meals, because their nutrients you'll get from other foods and you not get from others.
So plant and animal protein.
Yes, plant and animal proteins.
Right.
But now for the vegetarians, we always work out a few things, especially for the doctors, they usually recommend some supplement, because there are so many nutrients probably they lack because they are not taking meat and a meat product.
Right. So vegetarians should then supplement.
They are supposed to supplement.
Yes, because protein is important.
Protein is very important. Protein from animal protein is very important.
Yes.
So what happens is make sure that you're eating all the food groups. Now, when you talk about taking vegetables, it's a myth to talk about eating a lot of vegetables. But when you're eating vegetables, ensure it's only 3 times a day. Morning, we have lunch, and also we have dinner. So now, when it comes to dinner, take more vegetables, because you're going to sleep. You less your carbs and you less your protein. Again, as according to the calculations. So it's good to take vegetables. The more you do, the better. But remember, we have non-starchy vegetables and we have starchy vegetables. That is something else that also is usually left out, because not all vegetables are okay to be taken more. Like when you talk of green peas, when you do a lot of green peas, they are starchy vegetables. So meaning that they have some starch. So you have to less the amount of the starch you're taking from carbohydrates. So that is a few things whereby we have to really advise people when you're choosing to take vegetables. But now, in terms of healthy lifestyle and also losing weight, we turn to maybe the cruciferous vegetables more, which we call them the broccoli, the celeries, we have the cabbage, we have the red hoho, yellow hoho, carrots and tomatoes. All that is very, very important to include in your meal plan, especially for breakfast. Now, taking vegetables for breakfast is very, very important.
Okay.
Your metabolism is high in the morning. Also, your digestion process is going to be high. So everything you take in the morning, that's why you eat like a king, it's directly absorbed in the bloodstream, because you are very active, because you had slept for longer hours. So you're very active that moment. So you need to do a lot of vegetables so that your body can absorb the nutrient that it requires.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another big myth, so people, I hope you guys are taking notes in this regard. Another, not a myth really, but another word that is thrown around is intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And I remember when I just started and I said, yo, people, I want to do my weight loss journey, or rather my health journey, now that we've been corrected. Everybody will say, try intermittent fasting. It works wonders. Try intermittent fasting. It works wonders. Does it work wonders? Is it recommended?
So let me not say intermittent fasting. I'll just say any fad diet. Any fad dieting is not right, simply because when you take when you look for quick fix, we call them quick fix methods to lose weight, which is I think it's part of it. Remember, we said breakfast is very important. You cannot sleep for 8 hours and start your next meal at 10 or 12. You will have stayed for long hours without feeding, and acid will be produced in the stomach. You see, and there was acid produced in the stomach. So what happens is, if your body is not alkaline for staying for longer without feeding, then you also put yourself to the risk of diseases like cancer and maybe digestive system complications like heartburn. We are talking of maybe flatulence, bloating of the stomach, because of staying for longer without eating. Then if acid goes high, again, remember, you'll be at risk of ulcers. And ulcers does not develop. It's not an overnight thing. It's usually something that you've been doing. It's a behavior that you've been doing. Then the acid, the heartburn are always there untreated, and then later on it goes now to ulcers. So it's very, very important not to skip any meal. Yes.
It's important not to skip any meal. And somebody asked there, oh my gosh, look at the time. We have about 1 more minute left. But let's not forget the person who asked the question, and I see so many more tweets here, but we'll give you how to contact us so you can ask some of those questions. Somebody asked the nutritional value of matumbo.
There's no nutritional value.
Yes.
There's no nutritional value. In fact, we say matumbo has no nutritional value at all.
None at all?
None at all. So when you eat it, you're eating to fill your stomach, and in fact, it takes longer before it's digested. So you see, you're slowing your metabolism more, so you can never lose weight if you love matumbo. It's not easy.
What about mutura?
Again, okay, now it depends what kind you're taking. You see, there are homemade ones that are very much okay, but now remember the portion. But the ones that you take by the roadside,
kuna watu wanakula wana make sure wamekula mutura hadi imeenda hivi, cyclic mutura ile wamekula hapa hadi hapa, kina Ibra hivyo na wanacheza. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's portion control in everything.
Portion control in everything. Again, focusing on the method of cooking, avoiding deep fried and fried foods as much as you can. If it's protein we are talking about, make sure you boil, stew, or even you bake. It's better to bake than take fried foods. If you now love potatoes, you just bake instead of deep frying. So nutrition we shift to the best method of cooking. Then we talk of variety, balance, and now issues of now the timing of meals and frequency is very important. And lastly, we have things like stress management and also sleep patterns. Very, very important when you're talking about nutrition and how to live healthy. Because they go hand in hand. Yes.
All right. I know that Ibra karibu kuni nyoa. So try and tell people how they can get in touch with you, you know, and get more knowledge from your great reservoir of knowledge. So maybe you can tell them how they can get in touch with you as well.
Offices are located at Williamson House, second floor. In Westlands, you can find me in Medanta, Africa. In Kitengela, you can find me in Halisi Hospital, and many others.
Yes. Well, we'll definitely have you back again and again, because the questions that we have received are so many, but we're a bit stretched for time. But asante sana. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for watching as well. Remember, if you have any more questions, if you can't reach out to her, you can reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with her. You can call us here on the reception, because saizi Ibrako about kuweka hiyo kitu inaitwa end board. You will see our number there, 0719060228. Waambie tu, yani kuna mtu alikuja interview, tunataka namba ya Vanessa, and we'll be able to contact you, and if you can't find any places she's mentioned. But asanteni sana. We can't leave without saying it is 9 o'clock. Yesterday, Manchester won 9-man Southampton, 9-0. My goodness me. Is it raining goals? Are those goals? The Lord is good. Let that be a sign to you. If you doubt that God is a miracle working business, do your moja. Successful people look like you in the great Manchester United. Have yourself a wonderful day. God bless.